The Iron Cross is an intriguing crap strategy because it sets you up to win on every single roll, except a 7. I've seen other YouTubers discuss this strategy, but I've never used it in an actual game, and that's mainly because I didn't know how it performs in the real world. But today, I'm going to show you how this strategy performed in 100,000 simulated sessions. We'll see how often and how much this strategy might win or lose, and what bankroll you need to survive, and how many rolls are needed before you're playing with house money. And I'll tell you, I was surprised at some of these results. But first, let's go over the actual strategy. The aim of the Iron Cross is to cover every number except the 7. Here's how it works. When a point is set, start by putting $15 on the field. This covers the 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now ask the dealer to place $15 on the 5 and $18 each on the 6 and 8. On the 6 and 8, we round up to a multiple of 6 so that we receive the full payout since the casino only works with exact change. And now we're set up so that we'll win on every roll of the dice except the 7. If the 5 hits, we'll lose our $15 field bet, but we win $21 on the 5 for a profit of $6. If the 6 or 8 hit, we'll also lose our field bet, but we win $21, and again that's a profit of $6. Otherwise, we get paid right there on the field, or we lose it all on the 7. At this table, the field pays triple on the 12. Some tables pay only double, which will change the overall outcome. I haven't run that simulation yet, but if you want me to, just leave me a comment below. The only other thing you really need to know is that if the point hits, the puck is going to go off, and that means our place bets are no longer working. This is exactly what we want though, because we're just waiting for the next point before getting back in on the action. When the 7 hits, the most you'll have on the table is $66, and you'll lose it all with that 7. Okay, let's see the simulation. Here are the parameters. The field pays triple on the 12. We'll have 100,000 sessions of 10 shooters per session on a $15 table. Let's run it. Overall, we had 8.5 million throws of the dice, and that's 85 throws per session. I chose 10 shooters per session because at an average of 40 throws per hour, that ends up being just about 2 hours of play, which I think is reasonable, and it's a good way for us to relate to the data and how we might experience it at a real table. The total amount bet across all the sessions is about 181 million, and the house take is about 4.5 million. That ends up being a house edge of 2.5%. Now, as a gut check, that does make sense. The house edge for the 6 and 8 are 1.52%, and the 5 is a 4%, and the field is 2.78%. So this is right where I expected to be. Let's see how we did. 37.7% of the sessions ended up winning at least $1. 501 sessions, which is just 0.5%, ended in a push where they ended with exactly the same amount of money they started with. And 61.8% ended down, so they lost at least $1 or more. Overall, essentially 3 out of 5 sessions ended with a loss. The most loss was $603, and the most won was $1,389. Here's a histogram of all the outcomes. 36%, the largest group, lost fewer than $200. And another 25% won fewer than $200. Combined, that's about 60% that ended between plus and minus $200. The distribution is pretty lopsided. The next largest group, 23%, lost between $200 and $400, while less than half that number, only 10%, won the same amount, or they won between $200 and $400. In all, almost 94% ended between plus and minus $400. Now, what's really surprising to me is that only 3.6% won more than $400. Let's move on to the bankroll. This is a chart of the bankrolls at their worst during the session. Now, what's interesting here is that this is the first strategy that I've examined on this channel where every single session is down some amount of money during their play. I'm going to show you why this is true in the next section when we look at the data by each roll. 27% were never down more than $100. 3 out of 5 were never down more than $200. 4 out of 5 were never down more than $300. 96% were never down more than $400. And 99.6% were never down more than $500. So with a $500 bankroll, you're extremely likely to survive all 10 shooters. Finally, let's look at one of my favorite topics, which is the number of throws that are required before you actually start playing with house money. So look at this. After the second roll, that's when most of the time you're going to be putting down $66 in all those different bets. It's actually impossible to be playing with house money at that point. And the reason is because the most that you can win on any single roll is $45, and that's from that triple field 12, but you've already laid down $66 in bets. You can see that you're guaranteed to be down on that first roll. Okay, so after the second roll, everybody's going to be down, but at the third roll, you start to see a few players, and that's only 3%, but a few players having a positive bankroll. And that's going to start climbing to 11% and then 24%, 42%, and by only the seventh roll, almost 60% are playing with house money. That passes 90% on the 11th roll and 99% on the 15th roll. Remember, you're winning money on every single roll except a 7. So the more rolls you can survive, the better chance you have of playing with house money. This is some really cool stuff. Let's do a quick recap. We simulated 100,000 sessions playing through 10 shooters, which resulted in 8.5 million rolls. The house edge for this strategy is 2.5%. 38% of the sessions won money. 94% of the sessions ended between plus or minus $400. A bankroll of $500 has over a 99% chance of surviving for all 10 shooters. And over 50% of players will be playing with house money by a shooter's 7th roll. Well, this was a fun one. If you're into this type of analysis, you'll love my video on the 3-point dolly. That's a don't pass bet followed by 2 don't come bets, and it also has some very interesting results. Watch that one next right here, and good luck at the table. Thanks for watching.